So you are listening to a special edition of Fuki Cafe with Guy McPherson and Ivey Cone. Guy, this has really been an interesting ride on this Fuck It project.
Yes, the seventh stage seems to have resonated with a few people, and I'm glad that you were able to interview a few of those people on camera so we can get their responses.
Absolutely. And it did create quite an amazing conversation on Facebook and in real time with various people in my world. It was like, what does this mean? And I thought, if all of us that I'm noticing are having that kind of, this did something. What does, then other people probably did.
Right, and it means something different to all those people. For some people, especially my detractors, they interpreted it as meaning that I give up, that I throw up my hands, and that's not the case. And Dillon, I think, expresses that exceptionally well with his little segment about throwing off the shackles of culture and diving in with respect to resistance against industrial civilization. For me, the seventh stage has nothing to do with inaction. Instead, it has to do with letting go of expectations that actions will produce the desired results. So at its apex, it's letting go of desire and attachment to outcome. It's my version of the Zen expression, let go or be dragged.
Hmm. Well, I have 100 fuck it moments a day, and many of them are in let go or be dragged for sure. So let's just back up for a minute and talk about what we're referring to that started this project, that started the conversations, and that was several weeks ago now. You did a weekly climate update segment for Extinction Radio, and it lasted all of 22 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This week's update is very short. Apparently, I've reached the seventh stage of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's five stages of grief. Most people know I've been in the gallows humor stage, the sixth stage, for quite a while. Well, apparently I've reached the seventh stage, which is fuck it. So I may or may not have climate change updates in the future. And it's my 22-second Twitter version of Daniel Drumright's 11,000 word essay at Nature Bats Last, in which he goes back and forth and up and down and through and over what this really means to accept near-term human extinction as a result of climate change. And it really is quite a ride. If you read that essay, it's astonishing and it takes you on quite a journey. And I like your analogy with the arc of the pendulum that I think you can insert right here.
Okay, well, I need to just refer to Daniel's article for a moment
Uh-huh.
because it was a defining moment for me. It spurred many deep conversations, and it was around the fact that he had written this 11,000 words as a commiserative with those who have come to that place of acceptance. And I realized with your 22 seconds that it was that same sense of deep commiseration that I felt. It was had that same quality of commiserativeness, if you will. So yeah, 11,000 words. If you think of a pendulum as it's swinging in its arc back and forth, and it gets out to that full extent, that was Daniel's 11,000 words.
And in fact, I would argue that it was beyond that. It was the back and forth. It was the coming and going,
Ah,
and
yes.
the essay you had to really read the 11,300 words to go up and down and back and forth along with him about what it means to be a lifelong activist and to say, well, look, we're all going to die anyway in the not too distant future.
So, so here's the pendulum and the digging deep with 11,000 words, and then there's Guy and 22 seconds at what my friend Mary Nelson calls the zzz point.
So let's go into Mary Nelson's point. Let's start with responses.
I think
Starting with her.
I think that's an excellent idea, Guy. We were able to get a remarkable group of people to give us their thoughts on this, and it's just a joy to be able to carry this conversation forward now.
Yes, it is. And thanks to everybody who contributed when you contacted them. And of course, thanks to you for putting this together.
And thanks to you for having uttered the 22 seconds.
In my youth, we used to say, oh, the heck with it, is more politically correct. But I certainly understand exactly what Guy is saying. What does that mean? It's like a project you're working on suddenly seems to be too much work, or doesn't seem to be working, or has suddenly become rife with what, inconsequentialities? What's this all about? That feeling of fuck it applies to what I'm doing at the moment as suddenly feeling like it's not working, it's not worth doing, it's not relevant, and it's a giving up kind of feeling. And yet, what I'm mostly doing is still working to understand what's happening, and the purpose of doing that is valuable. If I can help mitigate the suffering of one person, one child, for even one moment, then it's worth doing. So I'm refuting the fuck it. There is no fuck it because we don't know the outcome of our actions and the good that it might do, and the fact that it might only do good for 30 seconds because then everything's gone is that makes still worth it.
To me, if you've come to the point where you're saying fuck it, that means you've come to the point where you don't have anything else to lose. And you can only say fuck it if you know where your loyalties lie, in my opinion. And in this case, my loyalties lie with the living world and the forces that have been responsible for the creation of biotic life on this planet. And, the dominant culture, industrial civilization, is a force in and of itself that is antithetical to those forces of life. So it's pretty easy for me to say fuck it at this point because the health of the dominant culture and industrial civilization requires the slicing up and destruction of ecological communities, those communities that provide the fabric of all life, the living matrix from which we all are born. So I say, fuck it. Let's start promoting disruption of industrial systems at this point. The situation is dire enough. The industrial economy is causing the sixth greatest mass extinction on the face of the planet, and it's threatening all life with catastrophic climate change. So that's why I say fuck it.
Fuck it. I guess when I think about it, at least where my head is at lately, is I catch myself when I start talking about things in terms of fuck it, that it comes from a pretty privileged existence. In other words, I kind of have the privilege to, one, think about things like climate change and near-term human extinction and societal collapse. And then at the same time, I also have the benefit of, if it's not going well for me that particular day or week or month, I can just say fuck it. Whereas many people on the globe have been in collapse their entire lives, and they've experienced climate change up close and personal, not just because it's not raining and their tomatoes aren't growing. And so that's really kind of where my head is at the moment. I mean, it's really starting to kind of check myself as a white male living in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. So I really kind of pay attention to when I go into what I would call the fuck it sphere, because it can be a place of great entitlement.
A lot of people have been commenting on my recent move from Auckland. I've been living in Auckland City for many years, and I've moved out onto a small island in the Hauraki Gulf. The island has no shops, no grid-tied electricity. I have a solar-powered house. A lot of people have said to me, "Oh, Hester, are you bugging out? Are you going out there to prepare for the collapse?" And the reality is, no, I'm not bugging out. I am going out there to prepare for the collabs. I am going out to spend as much time as I can in nature while I still can. But the reality is I've been an activist for over 30 years. I've been involved in anti-nuclear campaigns, anti-apartheid, every cause that you can imagine that around our environment and about social liberation. I believe that when collapse happens, activists like me will be rounded up and either detained or disappeared. Fuck it. I'm not going to expect to have a great time on my beautiful island. I expect for the monster that has created this whole nightmare to come looking for me and disappear me. That's my take on fuck it.
I guess fuck it means to me that I'm angry. I often say that when I'm angry. And, it's fine to be that way, 25 times a day if I need to. But I also know how it feels in my body. It doesn't feel as good as opening my heart more and taking a deeper look and maybe going to a different place with my grief or my fear, anger, despair, whatever. And what feels good about that is that I can include you and it's not all about me.
Fuck it to me means giving up all of society's expectations for me, giving up what they think of me, what they think I do, and just being the best earth being that I can be to others and to other earth beings, animals, people alike. I just think that in this time we have to say fuck it and do what makes us happy and love those that we love and do what we love, because regardless of anything that we do, the future is going to come, and whatever it may be, there's nothing that we can do to control it or change it. All we have is now, and we just have to say fuck it and just try and be happy and love those that we love as much as we can and just be who we are regardless of what anybody thinks.
Fuck it. Fuck it to getting ahead. And fuck getting up out of bed. Fuck crowd-pleasing cred. Fuck me till I'm dead. And fuck teaching doom special ed. Fuck all the bullshit I'm fed. Fuck G and repeat rhymes I've said. Fuck the shit in my head. Fuck J up ahead. And fuck what I should say instead. Fuck meeting the next knucklehead. And fuck my whole life that I've led. M-N-O and ahead, the Q watch me shed. And fuck those who think they're purebred. Fuck all the bullshit I've read. And fuck every wrong thing I've said. Fuck this whole stupid thread. Fuck zombies undead. And fuck all the suffering widespread. Fuck mistakes and the words I retread. Fuck V and more fuck it's ahead. Fuku's x-rays now shed. You and me walking dead. Fuck it all, from A down to Z.
Well, I guess, one of the questions you asked was when that I came to that realization. It's at least 4 years ago, but probably close to a decade ago. And what it means to me, I guess you have to come to the acceptance of the fact that our lives are going to be a lot shorter than we probably thought in light of near-term extinction and, the industrial civilization going away. So for me, it's just living in each moment and just enjoying each moment as much as I can, and not really worrying about what other people think about my wandering lifestyle, because it really doesn't matter anymore. I want to approach the days with as much empathy and kindness as I can to all other living things. And there was a quote by somebody at Nature Bats Last in the last few months, Paul Russell, and he said, quote, "When nothing matters, everything matters that much more." And I think that really sums it up. And if I ever have any down moments, and we all do from time to time, although I don't have too many of them, I like to think of the Traveling Wilburys song from way back when, and it's I'm just glad to be here, happy to be alive at the end of the line. So that's really what it sums it up for me.
Yeah, I'm not so much for fuck it. I'm more of the fuck them persuasion. I'm recalling the Black Panthers, the Deacons for Defense, the Weather Underground. I'm thinking about the Kanawaki Mohawk Warriors, today's Libyan Green Resistance. the Syrian army, and freedom fighters against imperialism throughout the global south. I'm thinking fuck the military-industrial complex, the non-profit industrial complex, the banking cartel, big pharma, religion, racist fucks, and the police state. Fuck the depraved Western ideologies of empire and the crooked politicians that serve them. Fuck celebrity fetish. Fuck both industrialized livestock and agriculture. Fuck the corporations. Fuck the oligarchs. Fuck hegemony. Fuck capitalism. Fuck our corporatized education system that destroys imagination, molding us into pacified, apathetic, mindless fucks. Even if we've lost, we can still make their lives a living hell, and I'm not talking about useless petitions. Fuck those who protect, defend, and pimp reform for this fucked up system. Let's learn from those whose stolen land we occupy. Starve the system that enslaves us and those who control it into submission. Destroy it, destroy them. As Mexican revolutionary Emiliano Zapata once stated, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Fuck them.
Those in power are killing the world. They're not going to stop. And those of us who are resisting that are fully aware that those in power have tanks and guns and airplanes. We're also fully aware that the majority of people care more about their computers or internet access or their access to consumer goods than they do life on the planet. So what I'm trying to say is that the odds are stacked against us, or also we're really fucked. And people can say we're fucked in multiple ways. They can say it dismissively, but the people I really care about say it in the spirit of fuck it. That, you know, those of us who've been fighting this for a long time, we dive in, we fight, and we get knocked down. And then we get back up again. And then we fight, and we get knocked down, and then we get back up again. And that's what we need to do. We just have to say, fuck it. Failure is not an option. And I am fighting for the penguins and the newts and the golden crowned kinglets and the marbled murrelets. And we have to mean that. He was asked, after the American Civil War, Robert E. Lee was asked why so often he attacked, even though he was outnumbered. And he said something I think we all need to keep in mind, which is we must weigh the risk of action versus the positive loss of inaction. I think that's how we need to live our lives. Or there's also a Zen poem that I just love, which is die while you're alive and be absolutely dead, then do whatever you want, it's all good. And so I think what we need to do is we need to give up, by which I don't mean give up on the planet, give up on fighting. We need to give up on the culture entirely, and we need to say fuck it. And then we need to get up and we need to fight back.
When I hit the fuck it moment, it's because I can't figure out where to go with whatever I'm feeling or whatever the situation is, and it's like I want to throw it all off and pretend it's not there and run. And I think that those fuck it moments are important messages. Sometimes the message is like, this isn't the right thing to be doing. Pay attention. And sometimes it's take a deep breath. Go back to your heart. Find what you love. Who you love, where you love. And then see what happens.
Thank you, Janaia, for bringing us right back into our hearts. What do you love? Who do you love? And where do you love?
A great place to end our conversation. And what a wonderful conversation. What a wonderful and broad spectrum approach to the issue. Everybody's got a different response. That's lovely. several of the responses don't involve fuck it at all.
And as we know, there are at least 7 point something billion responses that could happen here.
That's right. And as we also know, the response for us as individuals changes every day, throughout the day, from one day to the next.
What is relevant for this moment and what is no longer relevant? Fuck it.
Exactly. And that's a fitting finale for our conversation as well. Thanks very much, Ivy, for taking the time to create this documentary and for having this conversation with all of us.
Thank you, Guy, and thanks to all of the contributors and all of you listeners.